Points.
Well, hello there, friend, and welcome to another episode of the Broad Points Podcast. I am your host, the one and only, the broad that points, the broad with the points. It's me, Tyler, the lady. And to start off this episode, public service announcement, PSA, if you're nasty, stop caring about what other people think. Seriously, stop it. You, stop it. Stop it. Stop thinking about what other people think. If you are finding that you are choosing to not do things, if you are choosing that you're not willing to pursue your own growth because you're afraid of what somebody else might do or say about it, is you caring about what other people think about you. It is. And when we are, let's say, restricting ourselves, right? We're putting restrictions on ourselves because we're worried about external factors. We are really robbing everyone involved in this experience of an opportunity to grow. We are not allowing ourselves to grow. We are not allowing other people to grow, right? This has come up for me in the past. When people hold you to, let's say, an old story of yours. So maybe you've had some reactions or some behaviors in the past that somebody didn't really care for. And now they always think you're gonna do it. Or you think that they think that you're always gonna do it. So really, is it the chicken or the egg, right? We have to, in this life is about pain. This life is about discomfort. And honestly, one of our four more fundamental phrases, not this week's, but one of them was embrace discomfort to further your discovery. And when we allow ourselves, usually it's something that we're insecure of, that we don't want to share. And when we actually do start sharing these insecurities, it strengthens our bond, not only with the people that we are allowing to, be a part of this scenario, but with ourselves. Interpersonal relationships are strengthened by sharing our insecurities. By being aware of our insecurities, other people then start to feel okay to share their insecurities. And as we find that strength within ourselves, the strength within all of our relationships starts to grow. And so it really is so important to live your life the way you want to live it. Live it, you guys. Please, 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 please. Live your life the way you want to live it. I know I do. And we'll get into what I've been doing this last weekend. But I had to start this week's episode out with this PSA because I used to care so deeply about what others thought of me. And even now, right, it's a practice. Life is all a practice. Some of those intrusive thoughts can come into my head. Some of those limiting beliefs, some of those assumptions, right? When I'm thinking that somebody else is going to react poorly to something that I'm going to tell them, that is assuming, right? That's making the assumption that they are going to do something. What it is also doing is not giving them a chance to change. Life is filled with choices. Every moment of every day, we can make a change in a choice. I'm not saying that you have to, because that just, honestly, if you had to change every single choice in your life, that might be a little bit overwhelming. We start one change, one choice at a time. And by slowly integrating changes, we can really change our lives. We really truly can. Speaking from practice here. And so with that, I hope you now feel like maybe you could stop caring about what other people think. And if not, let's get into the fundamental phrase. If you do, great. If not, let's jump into the fundamental phrase. Maybe something else clicks in, right? The fundamental phrase for this week is, if there's a will, there's a way. Yes, if there is a will, there is indeed a way, you guys. So it's really fun to pair this with what we were just talking about. Stop caring about what others think. If there's a will, there's a way. You can also apply this to literally anything in your life. It is wonderful. If there is a will, there is a way. Let me tell you about it. So this last weekend, I had a guest in town and I went out to the 30th Vans Warped Tour in Long Beach, California. Oh my goodness. I wasn't going to go to this. I bought tickets to go to this, and then we just have so much travel. I was honestly kind of really freaking out about how on earth am I going to make this work? But I had seen a good amount of the bands there that I really loved. There were a few of the emo punk bands, just in case you guys don't know, that I had not seen before. And it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I was so excited. And I knew that if there was a will for me to go, there would be a way for me to go. And money is really energy. And so to, start to think in terms of limiting yourself because of finances instead of thinking of ways to increase your finances, there are two opposite ways of thinking, right? And so something came up for me, and this phrase of I print money. Who prints money? I print money. I am energy. We are all energy. And so when we start to limit ourselves, when we start to think in terms of lacking, it really starts to feel like we're lacking and that things are going to be impossible. However, if there is a will, there is a way to make money. There is a way to make space in your home for a guest to stay and have privacy. There is a way to communicate with people on your goals and your routines so that they're not affected. For example, when my friend came into town, we were talking last week about how I've been very into mobility. I go on long walks. I'm very into mobility. To do those things, wake up very early. You guys, these walks that I do, they're sunrise walks. They are bright and early. And I really like to go on these walks because it's a peaceful walk. You really get to center yourself, especially with mobility too. I mean, that really is dialing into your body. I mean, being so focused on each individual joint and the tiny movements that they actually make rather than, trying to bang weights around. It can be a very introspective process. I love it. I love it. And so when my friend came into town, I was very upfront and always communicating with kindness, of course. Always extending an invite if somebody wants to, join me. Not on mobility. That I need to do alone. Some stuff, you guys, you just got to do alone. We don't need to be with someone for everything. Honestly, that is something that I learned as an adult too, which is funny because I did know it as a kid. I did spend a lot of time in solitude. But, jumping around on my bed in my room, dancing around, drawing, painting on my walls, I did spend a lot of time riding my bike through the neighborhood alone. Solitude, being with yourself. Oh my God, why is this so scary for us sometimes? Being with ourselves is good for us. It's good to build and strengthen and become comfortable within ourselves. That was a word, uncomfortable specifically, was a word that came up this weekend a lot. And so to find comfort within yourself really allows you to dial into your senses and let you know what you need, right? What we actually need to function. And so I go to Warped Tour, get to Warped Tour. I am like, day one was absolutely insane. Okay, first of all, Warped Tour. I was not amused with not having the schedule because I believe the doors were at, we're going to say 9 a.m. I think it was 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. It was pretty hot and it's very humid over there. So the heat is increased tenfold. It is just so sticky. I mean, every now and then you get a light breeze, but it was very hot. And so standing out in the sun on the blacktop, yes, we were basically just in a parking lot, it was a little brutal. It was a little brutal. Location, a little brutal. But anyways, it was a great time. It was a great time. I loved being there. But from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., it was going to be a hot day. All of the bands that I really hadn't seen, that I was dying to see, played day one. So I will give kudos for that because we'll get into day two. But it was a completely different story from this day one. So day one, we find parking close. I've done research, you guys. I go into this. Parking immediately sold out in my head. Fundamental phrase, repeating through, if there's a will, there's a way. And so I'm like searching all of the Long Beach parking structures. I have a couple pinned. I select one. It ends up being so close and yet just far enough away to be out of traffic. Success. Then we get in and just are running around. They didn't put the set up until probably 11 or so is when the set came up. And so when we got in was around 11 because we had gotten down and gotten breakfast. Crazy crowded, but a lot of fun. Good stuff in the area. Felt fueled, felt ready to go that day. I had had some sleep the night before. We were doing this. I'd gone to bed at a reasonable time, gotten up, done mobility, did it. Check. Going through the list. Now we're here. I'm feeling great. I'm all dialed in. And I was able to see some skateboarders. They had skateboarders there doing some tricks. And then just tons of bands. And running back and forth from stage to stage. And oh my goodness, I really can't even believe it. Like, I never thought I would see 303. You guys may not know this. I grew up a huge 303 fan. My friend would always be like, gotta get the protein. And I've always really been an honorary bro. I always grew up with a lot of guy friends. We were all just bros. I'm just like, sup, bro? It was my lifestyle. It was how it was. And so to be able to see them was amazing. And I'm not joking, you guys, when I say we were running from stage to stage. Like the beginning of the day was 20-minute sets. And so you would be running from one end of the festival to the other to try and get all of these different artists. And I had got a tea, so I had some, electrolytes in me. I was able to retain some of the water that I was drinking. I will say I did bring a drawstring backpack the first day, and that really wasn't smart. Don't bring drawstring backpacks if you're going to have anything heavy in them, because they ruin your shoulders. I mean, that my shoulders are still bruised from the drawstring backpacks. So I learned that day one, don't wear drawstring backpacks. That was honestly really silly. And, I survived. I did it. I made it I danced so hard, you guys, at 303. I did not care. I made the room. Everybody was there dancing. I made the room. I found my spot, and I just had a grand time. Once in a lifetime experience. Who thought that 303 was going to start, coming back and playing shows? Definitely 100% not me. To get to 303, my friend wanted to stay for a different show, and I stayed 3 minutes into 303's set. I did, before I said, hey, do you want to stay here? Because I'm going to go to 303. And she said, well, can't you just stay for one more song? And I said, no, I cannot. Their set already has started. I'm going to go over there and you can meet me there. And then she was like, yeah, totally. And guess what? It worked out, you guys. Open communication, calm, kind communication, clear communication really has excellent results. And so she was able to do her thing. I was able to go to my stage, listen to my music that I had been dying to listen to for more than half of my life now. That is a pretty crazy thing to think about. And so, when you're not interested in one artist, you're absolutely able to go to a different artist. You can always find each other. Why? Why, guys? What's the fundamental phrase for the week? That's why. Really, it was a great time. And let's talk about some other things here. This phrase, this fundamental phrase for this week, it cannot be applied to other people. That's one thing that I really want to touch on, we'll say, on this episode is you cannot change anyone but yourself, right? We can always hope the best for someone, wish them well. We can never expect anything from anyone. And that goes both positive and negative. You cannot expect them to do the things you want, and you shouldn't be expecting or assuming that they're going to do something that you don't want either. You would not want to be looked at underneath of that lens, right? I know I wouldn't. Why are we doing it to other people? Why? And enforce your boundaries, right? I have left a life behind, you guys. I've left a life behind of people who think that it is okay to yell at me, for people who think it is okay to hit me, for people who think that they are better than me, for people who are not receptive to growth, to people who are completely externally focused. They think that everything is outside of themselves. I've left a lot of that behind. Life is all about choices and then enforcing your boundaries. It really is. And so when life brings you more of those opportunities to just make sure that that's still where you want to be, keep calm and carry on. And prioritize you and your needs, right? Staying true to yourself by not engaging when you don't want to, right? Maybe not escalating conflict. You're able to then pursue the life that you want because you're not being dragged along on everybody else's, I'm going to say it, bullshit. When we prioritize other people, is when our lives are put on the back burner. And I don't know about you, but I've already done that. And I have no interest in going back. So while I am very considerate of other people, I do as much as I possibly can for them, there are things that I am not willing to sacrifice. For example, I am not willing to miss out on a walk or an opportunity to move my body, like mobility. I'm not willing to do it. I have to do something every day. Have to. I need to. For my survival, for my mental well-being. You guys, our minds and our bodies are so interconnected. By treating them both with respect, you find respect in your life. It is all translated. Everything is a mirror. It's all a projection. And our inner world is our outer world. We just have to stay true to it. And so really for me, not raising my voice, not doing any sort of sacrificing of, my physical well-being. So, engaging in fights, anything like that. Anytime anything is escalated, I really just say, we don't have to do this. And I even say, let's take some breaths. Or let's come back to this, or can we not? There are phrases that can be said politely and in a normal tone to just where it de-escalates things and you can just go about your day. And so I really find that staying true to yourself, you guys, we can do it. We can. We really can. And this weekend was beautiful. I'm so happy for the experiences. I mean, I saw Bowling for Soup. I never thought I'd see them. That was pretty wild. I don't think they're ever going to play Stacy's Mom ever again, though. I think somebody in the crowd requested it, and the lead singer, I'm so bad with names, said, we're never playing that again. So I think that's kind of a bummer because that's probably everybody's favorite song, at least mine. But got to see them, got to see the Aquabats, even if it was just for 2 songs. It was super rad, and I'm glad that I went to that pool party. I'm always down for Pizza Day, too. Oh, I just love the Aquabats. You guys, the Aquabats are one of my favorite nostalgic bands of all time. When I go to dance to them, like, make room. I am skanking my ass off because I love the Aquabats. Got to see Sublime again. I was able to see the Interrupters, 303 as mentioned, 311 for a little bit. It was a blast. Day 2 happens. I didn't sleep, you guys. I just didn't. And so I did have to be communicative. I did my mobility. I did my workout. I did all the things. But, it was a different experience. And so I'm very happy to be home. I'm very happy that it happened. I'm not sad that it's over. That's something, people are always like, oh, I'm so sad it's over. It's coming to an end. And I challenge thee. Are we sad that it is over? Or are we happy that it happened at all? Because I'm very happy for everything, for all of the things that have happened this weekend, all of the lessons, all of the love, all of the music. I am very blessed, very grateful. Had to come home early because I had jury duty, and that was also hysterical. That's why we're getting this beautiful Wednesday release, because, sometimes life happens. And so maybe you need some shoes to walk you around this festival. I 100% did not wear Vans to Vans Warped Tour. I would have died. Vans are so uncomfortable. Listen to me talking crap about Vans. I used to wear them so much, you guys. I was really big they used to have these I'm going to say chunkier skater shoes when they very first, not very first came out. They've been out for forever. In the 90s, in the 1900s, as Samira would say, they had these like chunky shoes and they were so cute. And then they really moved towards the Ked style and now they do the high top. None of it's the same. Not comfortable. They're too narrow of a toe box and just shoe overall, and the sole is so thick. There is something about being dissociated, both from yourself and the planet, that I'm not in agreement with. And so I 100% wore my Zero shoes to Vans Warped Tour. So we can call this Zero Warped Tour, actually, because I wore my black canvas Dylans with the gum sole bottom. They look like skate shoes. They're also minimalist sole with a barefoot connection. So I felt great walking around. If you don't want to be uncomfortable when you're walking through life, if you want to connect to the earth in some Zero shoes, please buy them using my Zero affiliate link so that you can also pay me when you do it. It is zeroshoes.com/go/Tyler the Lady. And that is Zero with an X, you guys, because they're edgy. If you would like to follow me on social media, maybe you would like to chat about some of the things that I've said. Maybe you have some opinions. Maybe you just want to say what's up. Maybe you want to like some photos. Maybe you're bored. I don't know. At Broadpoints or at Tyler the Lady. And if social media sucks, it does. You can reach out to me by email, broadpointspodcast@gmail.com. Now, shall we wrap this up one more time with that fundamental phrase for the week? If there's a will, there's a way.